Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Carlisle United Career Mode Save. It is episode number 28, and coming back to the episode from the previous one, we are going to start it off with the Youth Scout update that we have. And initially we have the England batch of scouting, which hasn't really been doing well. We've got a few players that we are going to scout further, but in terms of a decent player, we have one from the Saudi Arabia scouting batch, and it is this boy Nadir Al-Nubi, 16 years of age, right midfielder, seems to be a decent talent. But in terms of the batch from the New Zealand players, there weren't really anyone worth picking up, so hopefully in future months we get someone decent from England as well as New Zealand. But coming back to Nadir, 59 overall, one more overall for us before we can check his potential once we promote him to the starting 11 or the squad. Yeah, the squad. But anyway, hopefully he turns out a decent player for us. Got some decent stats to support his playing capabilities, but hopefully he turns out decent for us. But in terms of the calendar for this month, we have 5 matches to play for today's episode. And to start off, the matches that we have for today's episode, it is against Peterborough United. We play the first team, the first starting 11, the full fit squad that we have at hand, and it was a very mundane and boring game against Peterborough United, despite us having a decent front 3 or front 4, shall I say. And Peterborough have Ivan Toney, who is in the second spot for the leading goal scorers of League One. So yeah, it was a little disappointing in this match, and we had one chance in the first half where Ethan Davis blazed it just off the bar, and we had another decent chance in the second half, this time Ryan Brewster speeding off from the halfway line, but eventually putting it straight at the goalkeeper, who makes the save, and the game ends with a 0-0 scoreline. And yeah, we really have to start playing a lot better. I mean, we are playing a lot better than the couple of episodes before where we were on a losing streak. We were never really winning any of our matches, but we definitely need to sort out our finishing, and we have to put our shooting boots on, because it's either not going on target, and if it is going on target, it is directly at the goalkeeper. We need the wins if we are to stay in the top 6, trying for the qualification process for the championship. But still, going into the next game against Shrewsbury, you would have seen earlier Liam McCarron said that he's not happy with the playtime that he's getting at the moment, so we start him in the B team setup. Liam McCarron playing the left wing position in a 4-4-1-1 formation, and playing against Shrewsbury Town, who are currently in the bottom 4 if I'm not mistaken. It was really tough to break them down. We never really could go past their midfielders, and it was like playing against prime Barcelona once again. I don't know why sometimes the AI of the lower placed teams in the league tend to play a lot better than you, despite having the worst run of forms or the worst results in recent games. And they eventually do take the lead in the 17th minute, with Angol scoring a goal just outside the box, and it hits the post and goes back into the back of the net. It was a pretty lucky finish for them, because on another day probably it hits the post and goes out for a goal kick, but it was their day, I guess, and it definitely was their day, because Clark could have probably leveled the game just there. But I understand it is definitely a harder technique to pull off that kind of volley, to even get it on target, let alone scoring from that position in that angle. So not being too hard on the lad, but we definitely should have at least scored in this one, where it's all you had to do was probably get it on target, and the keeper was definitely not going to get on the ground for the ball. But despite trying and trying and trying, we eventually lost the game 1-0 because once again we couldn't find our shooting boots and couldn't find the back of the net. Simple as. But still, we move on. And one positive that we had after that game was Tom James received his first call-up from the Wales FA, and I think Tom James is the first player from our whole squad to receive a call-up from their respective national teams, and it was a huge moment for us because despite us being in a pretty bad shape in the last few episodes, we are doing at least one or two things right, because if we weren't, our players won't get a call-up, obviously. But still, going to the next game against Luton Town, the league leaders if I'm not mistaken, we do take a very early lead in the 7th minute with Ryan Brewster running off the line. He was just onside and cuts back into the middle of the park and scores with his left foot, his weaker foot, and he runs all the way to the manager to celebrate, saying, "Gaffer, thank you for keeping your confidence and trust in me, and it's time for me to repay you with the goals." And just there I wanted to show you how Ethan Davis was winning the ball back from the Luton attacker, and he proceeds to run all the way to the right wing and connects with Nathan Thomas's cross for a wonderfully finished volley. Ethan Davis, our star player from the academy, despite not having the potential to be special tag, he is definitely good enough, probably like a lot better than the crop of players that are currently in League One, which is why he was sought after by Real Madrid in the transfer window earlier in the season. But we couldn't stop Luton Town from getting a goal back in the 40th minute. Our defensive unit still making a bunch of mistakes. I couldn't get the ball out in time. It breaks to Luton striker, who eventually puts the ball in the back of the net. And it was all happening in the first half. 3 goals in the first half. There wasn't much to report in the second half in terms of goals, but Luton were definitely pushing for the equalizer, as they almost got one just before the half-time whistle. And in the second half, at the very start, they were already pushing for the equalizing goal, and they almost got it. If it wasn't for Adam Collins' heroics, the best goalkeeper in League 2, now in League 1, but still performing like he is the best goalkeeper of his time. And there was some bad news in the second half just before the 70th minute mark, where Billy Gilmore right there was taken out by Luton's midfielder, who actually should have seen a red card because it was a high boot challenge start showing, but Gilmore went down, never recovered, and was forced off the field soon after. Game ended 2-1 at the end, with Ethan Davis winning man of the match for a beautiful performance. But we were greeted with bad news at the end of the game, as Bill Gilmore was confirmed to be out for at least 8 weeks with a broken metatarsal. So we have to cope without a creative midfielder in the middle of the park. Just when Gilmore was trying his level best to provide the assists and the passes for us, they take him out. So is it a conspiracy? I have no idea, but we move on. And in the next match, it was against Newport County, the Welsh side, and we take them on at Rodney Parade. And very early on, we found out that we were no match for their physicality, the physical presence, as very easily they outmuscled us at every physical battle for the ball, and they eventually took the lead in the 15th minute with Labadie, who scored from just outside the box. Once again, the ball hitting the post and going into the back of the net. I mean, how unlucky can you get? This one shows how lucky or unlucky we can get, because Clark tried to score from kickoff and missed it by just a couple of inches. We could have equalized if that went on target, but it was tough because obviously we do not have the luck on our side just yet. And in the second half, Clark really should have made it 1-1 just there, with the header going just wide off the post once again. And what they say, if you don't take your chances, you will get punished for it. And Newport County do take a 2-0 lead late in the second half with a wonderfully finished first time effort from Amon. It was a tough defeat to take because we played well. We created some decent opportunities for ourselves, but we never really finished it off, and we were made to pay for it. But despite all that trouble, Venezuela came in saying that they want us on board with their national team, trying to take them to the World Cup. But again, we are committed to the project at Carlisle, so we turned them down. And for the next game, before the next game starts, with Billy Gilmore going out on injury for at least 2 months, we have to bring someone in, and I had the perfect player in mind. Not like for like replacement, because Skugal or Oscar Mason can actually play in the attacking midfield role. So we had another player who we promoted from the youth team setup. It was Song Soo Rim, the Korean, the South Korean, coming with the 55 overall CDM position. Not the best, but we can't really see his potential just yet because he's about 5 overall short. But still, he had a decent game. And after the Oscar Mason finish, what a finish it was, Song Soo Rim played a beautiful through ball for Rian Brewster, who eventually finished it with a beautiful chip. Got a little lucky because the goalkeeper got a hand on it, but still it was a good finish, and it was the beautiful through ball from Song Soo Rim. Despite being 16 or 17 years of age, despite having the lowest overall in the starting 11, he still managed to pick out Rian Brewster with a wonderful through ball. And we probably should have made it 3-0 just before halftime, with Nathan Thomas hitting it straight at the goalkeeper. And yeah, we were soon almost made to pay for that miss, because in the 44th minute Wigan came in storming from the right wing, and if it wasn't for Adam Collins' heroics once again, we definitely would have gone into the break with 2-1. But in the second half, it was Wigan who started the game off strongly, and they eventually found their goal in the 64th minute through Cole, who was put in with a beautiful through ball and scored it first time past Collins. Nothing Collins could do about it. Got a hand on it, but it wasn't enough to keep the ball out. And Wigan kept pushing and tried to get the equalizer very late on as well. But again, Colin coming in clutch very late in the second half. And we probably should have sealed the deal for the points ourselves late, and it was Brewster's shot this time saved in the 91st minute, but it didn't really matter as much because we did get the 2-1 win at the end of the match. A very good performance from Oscar Mason, who started in the attacking midfield role with a goal, and a very, very good performance, a very good debut from Song Soo Rim in the central defensive midfield position. And it's not easy coming from the youth team setup and giving your first game just a couple of days after getting promoted, and then coming off with an assist as well. So it was a very good performance from Song Soo Rim. We had a message after the match saying that a youth team player was unsettled. It was Connor Morgan, and let's be honest here, Connor never really was going to cut it in terms of quality in this squad. Yes, we lack the numbers here and there, but we also want to promote players who have at least decent amount of quality. And if Connor thinks that he is ready, I'm assuring you that he is not ready just yet, at least for League One football. So hopefully he gets a team elsewhere who could use his skills and talents in as part of their club and squad. So all the best to Connor Morgan for the future. But that win against Wigan earlier in the last game puts us back in the top 6, just behind Wigan. actually level on points with Wigan Athletic, 63 points, and we are 8 points off the top of the table, and with 7 games to go, it is getting very, very interesting in League One. But that is where we are going to be ending today's episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you did enjoy today's episode, please do drop a like and also consider subscribing to the channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.